Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this cold winter morning. I'm Reverend Dr. Marian Stewart. It's my pleasure to serve this congregation as senior minister. This week, actually, we no longer have politics per se at top of the news. We have polar vortexes coming down and freezing us. I hope we are through with our single digits. And we have actually landed a rover on Mars. We're exploring with drones and helicopters and other such things. Really exciting news. So I'm glad we're a part of this world. And this is the day that we've been given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And let us find all sorts of ways to be grateful. This morning, as we begin our time together, I want to remind us that the land that we are on holds us. It's been inhabited for thousands and thousands of years. We know some of the names of the people who precede us, the Adena, Hopewell, the Seneca, and Cuyahoga. And we know that the peoples were removed violently from here to lands west of the Mississippi in 1830. It is difficult to imagine how to hold that legacy with integrity, but here we are, trying. All the while, the land holds us. May we be grateful, may we be thoughtful, and may we be humble. As we center ourselves for our service this morning, I invite you to take a deep breath, be present as we listen to our prelude.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Good morning and welcome to First UU. My name is Kelly McNeil and I serve as your Director of Congregational Life. If you are visiting with us this morning, welcome. Please let us know that you are here by filling out the visitors form on our website. And you know what? If anyone feels like checking in and saying good morning, you can greet one another in the chat box as well. Like most weeks so far this winter, we have an incredibly busy week full of activities, so be sure to check your email inbox to learn more. To subscribe to our email newsletter and announcements, you can fill out the connections form on our website, or you can email me to be added. There is still time to register for our upcoming Pathways to Membership classes. You can register on our website for either the class that starts today at 1 or for our Thursday evening class. Please register by noon today if you would like to participate this afternoon or noon Thursday for that class. And finally, I look forward to seeing you tonight at our topsy-turvy auction party. Join us at 7:30 p.m. on Zoom for a toast, costume party, live auction, games, and so much more. The link is on the church calendar, and there will also be an email sent out around 4 p.m. this afternoon. And now I invite you into our time of worship. Marian, you are muted.
Thank you. We are safe at home and warm doing Zoom service once again. Welcome to all. If you have a candle or chalice nearby, I invite you to gather it now so we can light our chalice together. Our chalice lighting words this morning, they're about beloved community, and they are from Catherine Hawkerself, and it's an invitation to this space we call beloved community. Come burdened, come savvy, come aging, come discouraged, come wanting, come full, come drifting, come. You are welcome here. Our chalice is lit. I now invite you to sing together. Our opening song this morning is "We Would Be One." The song with the tune, actually, the lyrics, are by Samuel Anthony Wright. Wright was a biologist and Unitarian minister and director of Unitarian Youth, the Liberal Religious Youth, LRY, for those who remember those days, the Department of In-Service Education at Star King School for the Ministry. This text was written for the Unitarian and Universalist youth attending the Continental Convention in 1953-54. At this conference, the liberal religious youth of the United States and Canada met together, setting the model for Unitarian Universalist denominational consolidation in 1961. Let us sing, "We Would Be One."
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all our new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make
Good morning. I loved hearing a little bit of history on that hymn and learning about the importance of the youth movement in the rich theological history of Unitarian Universalism. I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration. Our Sunday school class for 3 to 7 years, our youth group for 12 to 19 years, and our navigators, scouting, juniors all meet online later today. Please check the chat box or email me for more information. Today's story is called A Church for All, written by Gail E. Pittman and with pictures by the French illustrator Laure Fournier. The author is a professor of psychology and women and gender studies at Sacramento City College. She is a winner of the Stonewall Book Award and notes this book was inspired by the Glide Memorial Church in San Francisco and other inclusive churches. Pittman resides with her wife and daughter in Northern California. Sunday, waking. Day is breaking. Everywhere. Let's go to our church for all. Church bells ringing. Joyful noises. Choir singing. Laughing voices. Candles glowing, banners flowing. Come enter our church for all. Frail and healthy, neat and messy, poor and wealthy, plain and dressy, all embracing, spirit gracing. Each one at our church for all. Bodies wiggling, mommies reading, children giggling, daddies pleading. Toddlers flailing, babies wailing. There's room at our church for all. Hands receiving. Hands connecting. Hearts believing. Hearts accepting. Feel the spirit. Can you hear it? It's here at our church for all. The end. The illustrations in this story remind me of First UU, and make me look forward to the time when we can gather at our church in person again. This book celebrates a spiritual community that embraces all people, no matter their age, race, class, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Our Unitarian Universalist values call us to imagine how we can be more inclusive and truly welcoming to many different types of people. The author writes, "On Sunday morning, we gather together. We are every color, every age, rich and poor. Our church is open, affirming, and accepting. We believe in love instead of hate. There's room for everyone." As we imagine what will be possible for us when the pandemic fades away, I invite you to imagine how we can have a church for all.
Thank you, Amber, for helping us remember and imagine the embrace of community in real life. I'm Isabel Call, your Assistant Minister of Pastoral Care. One of my roles is to hold and share the collective wisdom documented in our Covenant of Respectful Relations. So you'll be hearing from me periodically about different pieces of our covenant. It's good to begin this practice in February when our theme is beloved community with this phrase from our covenant. I covenant to embrace our diversity as a source of communal strength and accept and care for others despite our differences. I'm impressed with the ways I've seen this in action at church, as well as the many ways I know you accept and care for people in other parts of your lives. One of the ways we accept and care for each other here is to share what is happening in our lives. Later in the service, during our caring meditation, I will read aloud our joys and sorrows. To be held in this way by our beloved community, type your full name and your sorrow or joy in the chat box and select Send to Panelists. You can also submit requests throughout the week and ask for other support on our website. And another opportunity to practice beloved community is today after the service. Please join me, Barb Fiorini, and others in a group loving kindness meditation practice. Come to coffee hour and we'll spin off from there.
Thank you, Isabel. And thank you for reminding us of our covenant together. This morning is a very special morning. We actually get to have a dialogue. Unitarian Universalism has a rich theological history, and there are many aspects that we need to discuss and be familiar with. I've invited Don Jones, who happens to be the vice chair of our board of trustees, to engage in a dialogue with me about beloved community, which is our theme for February. So I invite Don to go ahead and start. And what are you thinking about beloved community? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Marian. And I'm relatively new to Unitarian Universalism, and I grew up Catholic, and I came to this church after a sojourn in the Episcopal faith. And one thing I think about around this topic is that Catholics focus on unity as well. The idea of the body of Christ, or connection to each other through sacrament, the Mass, rituals that everyone takes part in, words that everyone says. I remember a time when I was vacationing in Paris and I went to a Mass at Notre Dame, and I didn't speak a lick of French, but I knew exactly what was going on because the Mass was something that, is the same everywhere in every language. Similarly, the Episcopalians come from the Anglican tradition, and they broke away from Catholicism, and at one point they needed to unite their country because there were Catholics over here and there were Protestants over here, high church, low church, all of that. And one thing, and one thing that they have is they have the Book of Common Prayer that they bring together and pray from. Queen Elizabeth even said to her people that we might be Catholic in character or Protestant in character, but we all pray from the same book. So that's how they unify. So in these traditions, beloved community is whoever comes to the ritual, speaks the same words, believes the same doctrinal creed. So how do Unitarian Universalists build and keep a community where there's no central understanding of deity, where theology may be pluralistic, where articulations of spirituality are so diverse and come from so many sources and traditions, or no tradition at all?
Wow, Don, that's a lot. Thanks. I share some of your background. I grew up Methodist and went to Episcopal College. And I actually got my doctorate from a Catholic university. So I know some of what you're talking about. For me, Unitarian Universalism, instead of worshiping a central narrative, story, belief, and having common ritual that is the same everywhere for all people, and whoever comes happens to be beloved community, we flip that upside down because we actually believe that you don't have to think alike or be alike to love alike. We actually put that beloved community at the nexus of who we are. And it's hard work. It's so hard. We take all the beliefs that come, all the people who come, the richness of that diversity, and we hold it and try to say, how does that help you realize beloved community? How does it help us bring what you are, what you have, and help us collectively to build that beloved community? So it's just flipping it upside down, and Unitarian Universalists are famous for having our own thoughts and ideas and stuff and our unique ways of doing things. But I think this is what our world needs now. We're also bound by covenant. We have agreement with each other about how we are going to be together. It's hard to do. These are promises we make. It's not a contract. It's a promise. It's a promise from the heart of how we want to be together. We do have common rituals. We light a chalice every Sunday. That's fairly new in our Unitarian Universalist tradition. It comes out of World War II, a great history around that. Our common liturgy, if you will, would be our hymn books. We all sing from the same hymn book, and there's a lot of theology in there, as well as diversity. We also gather to mourn. We gather to celebrate. These rituals of life are important, and we make sure that we do those as well. At the center, it is love that comes through. Our love for caring for each other. And I know in this time of Zoom, this love really comes through our care because we're having to find new ways to do it. And I don't know about you, but I've realized that need for relationship is so important, even more so than I knew before. I was reading this week, and I was reminded of a poem that actually puts this very eloquently. It's a poem by Naomi Shihab Nye, and it goes like this. A man crosses the street in rain, stepping gently, looking 2 times both north and south, because his son is asleep on his shoulder. No car must splash him. No car drive too near his shadow. This man carries the world's most sensitive cargo, but he's not marked. Nowhere does his jacket say, fragile, handle with care. His ears fill up with breathing. He hears the hum of the boy's dream deep inside him. We are not going to be able to live in this world if we're not willing to do what he's doing with one another. The road will only be wide. The rain will never stop falling.
Yeah, I think I hear what you're saying. But other traditions often find ways to articulate that connectedness that's inherent or mysterious and mystical, again, from the tradition I grew up in, that idea of being part of the body of Christ, one body of Christ. But what is the tissue that connects us if we at the same time hold so strongly to value an individual's own personal beliefs? Is UU beloved community all about the individual? Like, if it's so, it feels horizontal, flat. It's kind of like a social club for churchin versus a church. So where's the mystery? What connects us without a common consensus on divinity or a lack thereof?
Wow, there's a lot in that, Don. Thank you. And I think you have heard a lot of this before about, oh, you're just flat. You don't believe the same thing. How do you have church? How do you do community? And it's amazing because yes, we all do bring our different beliefs. We just do that. And it's that very richness and that diversity that actually helps us. All that experience, it helps us and gives us different perspectives on what it is to be beloved community. It doesn't just come from one source. It comes from everywhere. And that texture, it's just tangible and it's rich in what it provokes and provides for us. At the end of the day, though, it's all relational. It's about how we relate to one another. And this might seem kind of flat, but it also has a lot of aspiration to it. A vertical aspiration is kind of what that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King referred to when he talked about the mountaintop, seeing over the mountaintop in his I Have a Dream speech. And it's amazing because what King said was actually about us, about the people, not about him working by himself, but us working together toward becoming a beloved community. But you're right about Unitarian Universalists, are often referred to as very individualistic, that the person is the center, that first principle, inherent worth and dignity of every person, when we sometimes forget that seventh about how we're all connected. I think we need to move on from that 1800s ideal that Emerson had about self-reliance and self-dependence that has led us to help lead us to this me generation, this me focus, this me centeredness. Because at the end of the day, it's actually killing us. It's killing our neighbors. It's killing the environment. We have to realize that the world does not revolve around us as individuals. It really doesn't. It's the other way around. It's together we revolve with the world. And that's a whole different perspective or angle on that. We revolve with the world because that's how it is, not in spite of it, but with it. We as individuals are wholly interdependent, and we need not forget that. I was reminded recently, going through some UUA archives of General Assembly, when Reverend Nancy McDonald Ladd reminded us, she actually challenged us on this, how we are together. She said we must stop focusing on the fake fights that we waste our time on as others struggle against injustice. Instead, we should be focused on the real struggles and the real battles, and not just confined by the smallness of our own loving. Ladd continued, and this is what I found that she said, and it's spot on, I think. The world does not need another place where like-minded liberals hang out and fight about who is in charge. We need to lean into the real fights of our age. And we cannot do this holy work together unless we're really willing to set aside our own need to win and reach out our hands and seek deeper understanding that comes with all this difference. That's so rich. So for me, beloved community actually helps us to build a better world through big love, tangible justice, and heartfelt compassion. And yes, there's always mystery. There's always mystery. Life has mystery. It lies in our sense of wonder. I love it. It lies in the aspirational. It lies in the groundwork that we lay for future generation, our kids, our grandkids, and their kids. Some believe in God, some don't. Some have a rich spiritual life, and others bring other approaches to the work. But everyone brings their own beliefs and experiences, as well as their regrets and their hope. Their hope. Dr. King, who early in his career actually considered becoming a Unitarian. I don't know if everybody knows that, but it's really an interesting story. But he considered becoming a Unitarian, and he approached beloved community from the religious viewpoint as well as the philosophical viewpoint. It's debated whether the term beloved community arose out of the 1800s or not, but King used it in his 1957 newsletter to the newly formed Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And in a presentation last February to Unity Church Unitarian titled Beloved Community, a Meditation on its Origins, Meaning, and Call to Action, Merrill Aldrich reflected this. Dr. King shaped the idea of beloved community throughout his life into a clear vision that people could actively work toward. He prompted us to work to create a society that embodies principles and practices of mutual respect, support, integration, difference, nonviolence, and economic equality. King insisted that the goal was for this world, not the next, for this world. And we could work together toward creating it in the here and now. Beloved community it's a verb, if you will. It's an action. It always holds what we are becoming, and it holds us accountable to the here and now. Don, I want to share with you one last thing. Some of you know the Emergent Strategy series. Adrienne Marie Brown is one of the authors of that. She has a little book that just came out, We Will Not Cancel Us and Other Dreams of Transformative Justice. And I just want to share with you a piece of how she articulates what I see as today's version of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. So bear with me just a minute because this is rich. Here's what Brown writes. I want us to live. I want us to live in this world, this time together. I want us to love this planet and this species at this time. I want us to see ourselves as larger than just individuals randomly pinging around the world that will never care for us. I want us to see ourselves as a commemoration of creatures who are, as far as we know right now, unique in all the universe. Every cell, each individual body, each a unique part of this unique complexity. I want us not to waste the time we have together. I want us to look at each other with the yes of interdependence, such that when someone causes harm, we find a gentle parent inside of us who can use a voice of accountability while also bringing curiosity. Why did you cause harm? Do you know? Do you know other options? Apologize. That we can set boundaries that don't require the disappearance of other victims or survivors. That we can act toward accountability with a touch of love. That when someone falls behind, we can use a parent's voice of discipline while also picking them up and carrying them for a while. Brown continues, I want us to adapt from systems of oppression and punishment to systems of uplifting and transforming. I want us to notice that this is a moment when we need to orient and move toward life, not surrender. We must learn to do this before there is no one left to call out, or call we, or call us?
Oh, Marian, that's really powerful. I know that one of the declarations that really resonated with me when I began discovering Unitarian Universalism was articulated by James Vila Blake in 1894, which I'm sure is familiar to many of us. It's on the walls of lots of UU churches in the world. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth of love, and to help one another. This idea of love being the spirit, love being the center, love being greater, bigger, more universal than any one conception of the divine, any one eschatology, is to me the center of beloved community. Being a kid, I grew up in the relatively liberal years of the post-Vatican II Catholic Church, and there was a focus on the idea of church as the people of God, not the Pope, not the bishops, not the Gothic cathedrals, but all who believe in God. Of course, that's still bounded by a certain conception or definition of who God is, and that emphasis has surely shifted over time as well. I think that what Unitarian Universalism's beloved community does is to take that idea and broadens it further still. Love is broader even than a shared conception of the divine. Love challenges us to embrace the world in all its difference and build a community that welcomes everyone and lifts up everyone and engages with the world through working for justice, confronting systems of power, and transforming ourselves and our world through radical love. Radical love unbound from adherence to a particular conception of the divine or the afterlife ultimately challenges us to even more deeply engage in the world, to love the world, to love ourselves and our others, and challenges us to work towards building a beloved community among ourselves and doing the work to bring that beloved community into being here and now for all, and for those who will follow us. To me, at least, what an exciting thing to animate us as we journey through this life.
Don, thanks. It is exciting. The way I figure it is, Unitarian Universalism is like this grand experiment. We tried for centuries to transform the church from within. And we've been able in the last century or so to expand that to saying, yes, and bring who you are, bring your beliefs, bring your experiences. And together, you know what? We're going to figure this thing out about how to become a beloved community. Church is a place for all generations, cradle to grave, where we get to practice with all of our faults and all of our mistakes, but we get to practice what it means to become that beloved community. Yeah, wow. I'm looking at time. This has been a great conversation. I look forward to many more. And I also know that we need to have conversation as a whole community, a whole congregation, about what is this beloved community, what lies at the root of it, and what is our part in it beyond the individual. Collectively, who are we and what are we trying to do to build this community that we say we love? So thanks, Don. I really appreciate it. I just want to close our time out together because I know that a lot of people say, oh, this is talking the heart and stuff, but what about the head? So I want to actually close with a board policy statement. It might sound pretty boring, but this is a board policy statement from Unity Church Unitarian, and it's actually policy D in their handbook, policy D, moral ownership. Here it is. The moral owners of the Unity Church Unitarian are those who yearn for the beloved community and see this church as an instrument for its realization. The beloved community is engaged in the work of the Spirit. It is community at the highest level of reality and possibility, where love and justice prevail. So, thank you, Don. This has been a rich conversation. I look forward to many more.
Thank you.
Blessed be, and amen. Thanks, Don. I now want us to sing together. Actually, we're not going to sing together. We're going to enjoy one of our church members who has a lot of musical talent. We're going to listen to Katie Oberle sing. So here we go. Take it away, Katie.
Winter comes for everybody. Days are short and the nights are long. And how you wish you had somebody to keep you warm, sing you a song. Well, you can go outside your house and knock on someone else's door. The company you'll keep is holy. Together we are so much more. Together we are so much more than one. We're powerful beyond our measure, light just like the sun. Whenever we come together in the name of love, we are truly so much more than one. Dark and lonely can our souls get in our fears of doubt and sin. We're all mixed up down deep inside us, aching for the light to breathe in. So share the love that's all around you. Make your heart an open door. Feel community surround you. Together we are so much more. Together we are so much more than one. We're powerful beyond our measure, light just like the sun. Whenever we come together in the name of love, we are truly so much more than one. Living life for others is living life in love, and loving every minute that I share with you. So I am not mistaken when I say that I love you. I'm saying life begins when there are two. By working hand in hand with others for a cause that's right and true. We're really working for each other, and every day is bright and new. Together we are so much more than one. We're powerful beyond our measure, light just like the sun. Whenever we come together in the name of love, we are truly so much more than one. Together our lives have just begun.
Thank you, Reverend Marian and Dawn, for that lively dialogue. And thank you to Katie for that stunning musical interlude. Our church matters. We are a community of love, caring, and generosity, and together we work for a more just world. To offer our gifts and pay our promised pledges is to say, yes, we are defined by our hearts and our deeper values. We know the pandemic has created a wide range of circumstances for our congregants. Regardless of your ability to contribute, know that we value you and your presence here, and we hope you will reach out for whatever help you may need. If you have been fortunate enough to retain financial stability, we hope you will consider giving something extra, knowing that not everyone in our community has been so lucky. Our Share the Plate recipient for February is People's Justice Project. Founded in 2015, People's Justice Project organizes the Black working class and other oppressed people who are leading the struggle against institutions that oppress or occupy our communities. People's Justice Project has supported the families of Casey Goodson Jr., Andre Hill, and many others killed by local police as part of their work for change. The offering that helps build a better church and a better world will now be gratefully received. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Nathan. I can feel it, feeling the beat in my heart. Thank you. To open the caring meditation, the excerpted words of the late Reverend Hope Johnson. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one. Learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, creating the beloved community together. We are one. This week, we are one with everyone gathered here in this moment, in this virtual space. We are one with those watching our service in the future. And we are one with those who received caring cards for sorrows and difficulties last week. Kitty, PH, who slipped on the ice and broke her hip. Susan R., whose grandmother Dottie died earlier this month in Wisconsin at the age of 97. And former members Roger and Trish and their daughter Alex, grieving Roger's father, Reverend G. Keith Nash, a retired United Methodist minister, who also died earlier this month at the age of 95. We are one with Paula, who is receiving a caring card this week. Paula's mother-in-law, Trudy Egbert, died peacefully on Friday after having lived 97 wonderful years. Her memorial service will be held next Saturday at noon, and the link to the webcast will be shared in Rev Talk. We are one with those among us carrying burdens. Tom P. shared in the chat, a long-standing injury has caught up with me, and because of that, I need to have a dental procedure later this week. Thinking of you, Tom. We are one with those celebrating too, with Reverend Susan M. Happy birthday. With Antoinette F. Finally got a job after a year of looking. Congratulations. I know that's a relief. And we are one with those who hold a mix of joy and sorrow in their hearts. Thinking of Zia B., she writes in, my baby brothers were born, but one is still in the hospital. And in our larger community, we are celebrating with Edith Espinal, who went home after more than 3 years in sanctuary at the Columbus Mennonite Church. Her perseverance and boldness feed our hope and resolve, and her continued struggle is on our hearts too. We need hope and resolve. We need the flame of justice and commitment in a world that is so cold. May we stretch the love of this community to embrace all those who are suffering. Migrants at borders, people imprisoned in already abysmal conditions, made worse by the snow and freezing temperatures. People whose homes have gone dark and cold throughout the country, especially in Texas, and people throughout the world showing up to demand change. May we know that we are one with all who suffer. May we know that the love we feel for each other is one and the same, with our longing for all to be loved and cared for. May we create beloved community. May we be one.
Yes, may we be one. May we be one as we go into a moment of silence as I ring our temple bell. I will ring it again as we continue our service. But for now, let us hold a moment of silence. Welcome back. I invite you to sing our next song together. This is one of the rituals, if you will, that almost every Unitarian Universalist knows throughout this land. Indeed, throughout North America. I don't know about overseas, but for sure, North America. We will sing this 2 times, the first time in English, the second time in Spanish. But in the light of this conversation on beloved community, I invite you, in the first verse especially, when it says, Spirit of life, come into me, to change the me to us. See if we can work toward that beloved community that is the plural, not just the individual. But sing it any way you want. Sing it as a prayer, sing it as a meditation.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta modear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
For our closing words this morning, I offer words from Reverend Kathleen Mateague. She writes about the common good, but writing about the common good is another way of writing about beloved community. Let us listen. We breathe the common wind of the earth. No matter where we live, who we love, what language we speak. We drink the common water of the earth. No matter the color of our skin, how long we live, the coverings we drape on our forms. We follow the common paths of the earth. No matter our beliefs, how far we move from home, the gold we carry, or its lack. May we live from these truths, our hearts open to the holiness all around us, our hands turned always toward the common good. Let us sing together again. Let us sing Lean on Me. As Brandon leads us, feel free to sing along, to sway, to move, to clap, and for certain generations of us to remember. But regardless, the theology of lean on me, we are not alone, is there. Let us sing.
have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, Lord. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call me brother when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem, but you understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
Yes, we all need someone to lean on in this beloved community, this making of beloved community. I can hardly wait until we have church together again and our focus can be on building that beloved community. I invite you, if you have your candle or chalice nearby, to bring it close so we can extinguish our chalice together to the words of our vision. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love. Our chalice is extinguished.
Don't forget that you can still register for our upcoming Pathways to Membership classes. These are open to anyone considering membership or who would just like to know more information about First UU. Attending the class does not mean that you have to join. Please register by noon today. You have 55 minutes left if you would like to attend this afternoon, or by noon Thursday if you would like to attend the Thursday evening class. I also look forward to seeing you tonight at our topsy-turvy auction party. Join us at 7:30 on Zoom for a toast, costume party, live auction, games, and so much more. The link is on the church calendar and will also be sent out via email later today. You can find more information about upcoming opportunities in the chat or by joining our email list. And as always, everyone is invited to coffee hour after the service for fellowship and fun. You can find the link to that in the chat box and in this morning's worship emails. Today, we will have a special Zoom room for guided meditation practice, in addition to our regular conversational breakout rooms. We'll see you there.
Today's worship service would not be possible without the time and care of many people. Thank you all. Special thanks to Katie Oberly for our special music today. You can listen to more of Katie's music at www.katieoberly.com. I'm not sure who the other vocalist was on that piece, but please give them a large thank you too. Huge thanks today for our guest speaker, John Jones, Vice Chair of our Board of Trustees, for engaging in that dialogue with Reverend Marian. And as always, a huge thank you to our musicians, tech volunteers, and our ministry team for the work they do every week to bring us a vibrant and compelling service each Sunday. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Nathan. Your music was awesome today. Thank you so much. You're all invited to coffee hour. From there, we will also give you the option of going to breakout room for meditation. We'll give you the link there. But for today's take-home question, today's question for this week, and really for longer than this week, but really concentrate on this week and also the topic of coffee hour today. What does beloved community mean to you? What does beloved community mean to you? We'll see you shortly in coffee hour right after the changeover. I'll see you there in a minute. Have a wonderful week.